Hello, friends. A group of children were once asked, "What does love mean?" Here are some of their responses. Rebecca, age 8, said, "When my grandmother got arthritis, she couldn't bend over and paint her toenails anymore. So my grandfather does it all for her all the time now. Even when his hands got arthritis too. That's love." Billy, age 4, said, "When someone loves you, the way they say your name is different. You just know that your name is safe in their mouth." Bobby, age 7, says, "Love is what's in the room at Christmas. If you stop opening your presents and just listen." Nikki, age 6, says, "If you want to learn to love better, you should start with someone you hate." That sounds like a good insight. Tommy, age 6, says, "Love is like a little old woman and a little old man who are still friends even after they know each other very, very well." Cindy, age 8, says, "During my piano recital, I was on a stage and I was scared. I looked at all the people watching me and I saw my daddy waving and smiling. He was the only one doing that and I wasn't scared anymore." Jessica, age 8, says this about love. "You really shouldn't say 'I love you' unless you mean it. But if you mean it, you should say it a lot." Well, those are some children's insights about love. Actually, though, if you and I want to discuss what love means here at the Christmas season, I can't think of anything more appropriate than saying that love is exactly what Jesus did, as we read about in Philippians 5, where Paul says, "Jesus, who being in very nature God, didn't consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself, and became obedient to death, even death on a cross." Nothing says love quite like that. I read recently of a missionary that had gone down to serve in a very, very poor area of Mexico. In fact, this particular area is so poor that it's right on the outskirts of a large dump, we would call it. This was a good leader. He was a good speaker, good organizer. He cared about his people, but he said he just seemed like he was having some resistance. The people didn't really consider him to be one of them just yet. That all changed one evening when there was a large accident in the area, and sewage was just running through their little community there by the dump. In true Mexican fashion, and showing the value that the Mexican government placed on these folks, they were told that it would take 3 days for authorities to come out and clean up this mess and stop the sewage from flowing through the area. Well, the preacher organized a team, and they got out and waded through the mud, they waded through the sewage, organized a team to put together sandbags. They worked all through the night and were able to stop the sewage from going through the area. When they completed it, just fully covered in mud and filth, the preacher gathered his congregation together and they all held hands and prayed. He said from that point on, his ministry with them changed. He'd become one of them. John says the Word became flesh and he dwelt among us. Now we've seen his glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. God became one of us so that he could love us, so that we could know him. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. May God bless you. Have a Merry Christmas.